Hey, Tribe, welcome to another edition of Saavy, Shae, and Friends. I am so thrilled to have my good friend, Dr. Donnell Brown, here with us tonight live in the Tribe to help expand our knowledge a little bit more because this man is brilliant. I can't wait for you to hear him. So, let me tell you a little bit about my friend, Dr. Donnell Brown. He has been in education for 23 years. He has served in numerous educational capacities, ranging from an accomplished middle grade ELA teacher, a curriculum specialist, to his current role as a middle school assistant principal. Dr. Brown is a champion in providing equitable practices for all students and instructional educators. Dr. Brown has served in turnaround low performing schools, and he currently assists in implementing beginning teacher induction programs. He has captivated educational audiences at premier national, state, and local educational conferences. He has recently spoken at the SIVME Better Together Conference Innovative School Summit, ACCU Train in Las Vegas. That's major. ACSA Leadership Summit in Sacramento, California, and NYAR Conference in Savannah, Georgia. I told you this man is brilliant. He facilitated an action research project to improve areas in Nash County Public Schools that's straight out of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, consisting of veteran assistant principals. Dr. Brown is currently facilitating the district SEL committee and mentoring new assistant principals. You all please welcome my friend, Dr. Donnell Brown. Hey, hey, Dr. Brown.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me. I am excited for people to hear your story. I use the word brilliant because of all these amazing things that you have been doing. It is just so surreal in knowing that if people looked at our resumes, they wouldn't even know who was who because we both taught in Edgecombe County. We both were coaches. We both worked in
Exactly.
Perkins County. And most excitingly, we both represent those Fayetteville State Broncos. So I wore my shirt tonight as a fellow alum.
Exactly. Bronco pride. Bronco pride.
And let me not mention that Dr. Brown was Mr. FSU. Okay, so that's how you know Mr. FSU.
That
So
part.
you believe,
That part.
and I believe you represent that crimson and cream, that red and white. Is that correct?
Oh, all day. You see it in the background. You see the paddle. You see the picture. Yeah, it's there. It's
Yeah,
there.
proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi, but most importantly, a profound educational leader. So, Dr. Brown, thank you again for joining me on Savage Shea and Friends. We're going to delve right in because I need the people to know the great things that I know. So, first, talk to us about how many roles you had in education, what they were, and how did you overcome the anxiety of starting over every time you got a new role?
All right. Well, my first role was back in 2001. I was an eighth grade ELA teacher at CV Martin Middle School, and fresh out of college. Like, okay, the age difference is not that great, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh wow, I didn't even go to college to be an educator. I had my bachelor's in communications, so I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna get on the radio, make money. Because somebody said,
Right.
oh, you want to be in education? I said, no, they don't make money, so I don't want to do that. But I always say, um, our plan is not God's plan.
That's
It's like
right.
one of your questions was saying, what brought you to education? Nothing brought me to education. Education came
Mhm.
and got me, you
Okay.
know. And so and so it's like, nah, we need you, young brother. Because like I said, I was working at Foxy 99 in Fayetteville. I was the
Mm-hmm.
promotions director, and it was cool, but just putting it bluntly, I was making what I was working full time
Mm-hmm.
hours, but I was getting paid part time. I said, I can't
Oh.
live like that fresh out of college. So
I know, right?
I had to come back home. Did not want to come back home. You out of
I hear
college,
that.
all that freedom.
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember my first interview at Martin Middle. Wayne Miller was the principal, and it was a
Mm-hmm.
math position. He said, well, "This is all I
Mm-hmm.
have right now." And I told
Mm-hmm.
him, I said, "Well, if you want those kids to be terrible, you put me in that classroom because all of us will be struggling. I'll be struggling to teach them. They'll be struggling to understand the math." So I left, went back to Fayetteville, and he called me not even 2 weeks later. It was like, I
Mm-hmm.
got an opportunity for you. What you think? I want to take an opportunity on you.
Mhm.
So I said, yeah, I'll do it. Because he said his English teacher just left.
Okay.
And so the crazy thing is I had some classes at Fayetteville State my last semester just trying to graduate. So I'm taking here and classes here and there. So like just to make
Yeah.
sure I get my financial aid.
I know that's right.
So so I'm like, okay, I took my foundation education. I went to 71st and kind of did like a not an internship per se. It was more so I'm just observing.
Okay.
And so when I actually got in the classroom, the only thing I remember my mom telling me, she was like, remember the teachers that you had that you didn't like, or remember the
Mhm.
ones that you like, and just
Mhm.
kind of take from both.
Yeah.
And so that kind of helped me. And the only discipline plan that I had was how my parents raised my brother and I. So I know I couldn't beat the kids, but I was like, okay, I got to do something. I got to do something where
Right.
the expectation is set high, but it's also where order is restored and the kids can learn. I can do my job. So
Right.
I went in, did that, and I enjoyed that for so many years up until
Mhm.
2007 when I went to ECU to get my master's in school administration. And I
Mhm.
remember Mr. Privet, he was a principal, and when he signed my recommendation, he was like, "I hate filling this out." He said, "Not because I'm not going to do it, it's because I know
Mhm.
I'm losing a good classroom teacher." Hey,
Right.
that was impactful. I didn't get it then. I was like, "Oh, so I'm really good." I'm thinking like, "Oh, I'm really good." And
Yeah.
so, after that, coming back to the school as serving as assistant principal at Martin Middle School
Mhm.
for a couple of years, then I transitioned over to South Edgecombe where you and I
Right.
met.
That's right.
We already grew up going to the same high school and everything, but
Right.
now in a different capacity. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh wow, serving as assistant principal there, it's seeing the different types of kids because you go, of course, coming from Tarboro to Fayetteville is different, but then you coming back
Right.
home knowing Tarboro, how the community
Mhm.
is, but seeing a different community is like you can't use some of the same tactics you use in one place into another. And that
That's
was one
right.
of the biggest things, like from a personal experience that
Mhm.
I had to carry over into the classroom because then I learned, I'm trying to cheat the code, the system.
Yeah.
Second year teaching, like I'm gonna do the same thing I did the first year, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, I can't do it because the kids are different.
That's right.
Their learning deficiencies are much greater than the previous
Mhm.
kids that I have, and they don't catch on to things as quickly as the other kids. That was kind of frustrating for me. I'm like, man, what's wrong? They don't get it. What's wrong with these kids? But I had to understand. Still learning, being a lateral entry teacher, that I had to get it to meet them where they are. I
Right.
had to go back and reteach and make sure they
Mhm.
understood what I was teaching. So that meant I had to change some things. That's what I had to do. And one of the
Mhm.
greatest things that happened to me, one of the students, they were like, Mr. Brown, we didn't learn anything today. And I was like, what? I put
Wow.
my all into that lesson.
Uh-huh.
And then
Uh-huh.
and now, so I'm at the crossroads. Because one way I can be like, well, that's your problem. I got my education. I can easily say
Right.
that. But on the other hand, I was like, okay, no, let me go back. So I came back home, redid my lesson plans, came back the next day, knocked it out. And I asked the kids, I said, how was that? They were like, oh, we learned something today. So that
Okay.
made me feel good. But it also helped me, fast forward to now. It's like you listen to the kids.
Yeah.
The kids, they let them facilitate their learning because you can talk all day, have a brilliant lesson plan, but the kids don't understand what you're saying. You put all that effort into what you're doing for nothing. So I that humbled me, but it
Mhm.
also, like I said, it helped shape me. It's like listen to the kids' voice. They have a voice in their
Yeah.
learning, and so if you can't listen to the kids, the people that you're serving, what good are you? What good are you as a classroom instructional leader? Same, albeit also if you are, a building leader. If you
Right.
can't listen to those that you're serving and working with, you're no good to anyone.
That's right. You made an excellent point. And no grade level of a child will humble you more than a middle school student because they
All
will
day
sit
long.
with no emotion whatsoever, but are the most emotional creatures in the world.
Right, because they don't know what they are. One day they're elementary, next day they're middle school.
Exactly.
They don't know what they are.
Yeah. But that's what I miss and I love about middle school. And I know that you get to experience that working in a middle school on a regular basis. Are they still the same, or have you seen a
Oh,
difference that you
I think that works
definitely
because yeah, I think that works now because they have more resources to just kind of pull them in different directions than
Ah,
than kids that we had, and which is so
mm-hmm.
crazy. And that was only what 20 some years ago that we 20 some odd years ago that we had a
Yeah,
kid. So just to see how things change that rapidly.
mm-hmm.
But pretty much overall though, they're still the same, but they're just a little bit, let's say, a little bit worse. So you have to have some patience. You have to have more patience now than then. And I think because of the fact being older, you know how older people say, I lose patience as I get older, and I'm trying to
Yeah,
maintain mine. I'm like, Lord, I see what they mean now.
yeah,
So
yeah. I understand that totally. So you talked about how education came to you, but what makes you stay in education after all these years?
truthfully, seeing the work of the kids, seeing the kids who come back and say thank
Mm-hmm.
you for helping me. I know I'm not in the classroom per se, but the fact they
Mm-hmm.
come back and say, "Hey, there's Dr. Brown," because
Yeah,
some of them would say Mr. Brown. I said, "Who,
yeah.
Mr. Brown? That's my daddy." They said, "Oh, Dr. Brown." I said, "Thank you." And even and I'm gonna answer your question, but I had kids who checked the kids. That's Dr. Brown. They said, "Mr. Brown, his daddy." And that's the funniest thing to me. I'm just like, I'm not laughing at these kids. I'm not laughing at the kids. But also, what makes me stay, having a child of my own that's in
Mm-hmm.
school. He's in third grade, and it's the
Okay.
beginning of the
Yeah.
testing cycle. So, and unfortunately, seeing it from the standpoint of kids who struggle, who don't have people in their lives to push them,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I have to check myself because I don't want to put that undue stress and pressure on my child when he's not
Yeah.
even doing it. He's been a third grader, he's been a
Right.
9-year old,
Right.
and so I got to remember he's not a 11 through 13 or 15.
Right.
Well, you know how the ages range in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there yet. So he's gonna make those fumbles. He's gonna do those things, and I have to get with patience. I have to understand that and realize he's not those kids. He's my kid. So, what he does, his mother and I, we can help kind of correct some of those
Mm-hmm.
things because we're involved. And that's not a slight to any kid that doesn't have anyone involved, but
Right.
the game is different when it's your own. So
Uh-huh.
to answer your question, that's what makes me stay in education.
Wow. That's great. I thought you was gonna say because you're so close to retirement, why try something else different now? But your answer was way more
Oh no,
profound.
you know what? Even though I am, as you say, that's I still, to me, is like I said, it's never about the money. It's about, again, shaping and impacting the young people because that's our future. And I don't know about you, but the scariest thing is sometimes when I look at certain kids, I say, "This is the future."
Yeah.
I'm like, I tell my son, "Don't put me in a nursing home. You keep me at the house because I see what's going on in the workforce. Don't do that to me." So
Well, yeah, I'm glad you're instilling it in him early. My son is 19, about to be 20, and so now I'm
okay,
really having to have those conversations that he's an adult. So I get that, and I totally understand about not putting pressure on your child because you are an educator all the time, and it's
right,
hard to turn that off and just be a parent. And I had a similar epiphany when my son said to me, "Mom, you want me to be perfect?" And I was like, "Oh my God." I never intended to put that level of pressure on you. But when you middle school all day, it's hard to turn that off when you come home. So
exactly,
I totally get it. And I love hearing that you all are involved parents and how big of a difference that makes. Now that's another subject for another day. We have a whole nother Saavy and
a
friends about this
whole nother
parenting.
conversation. That's right,
But
that's
we're
right.
gonna go on to the next part. Talk to us about your experiences that you had, that you got as a classroom teacher that you still use even as a building level administrator.
Well, like I was saying, I think the greatest thing that I took from being a classroom leader to being an administrator is building that rapport, that relationship
Mm-hmm,
with kids.
mm-hmm,
You know, um, I still talk to the kids. I go when I do my walkthroughs and things. I go in the classroom, especially math, because I cannot stay in math. So I go in the room. I say, "Hey, show me how to do that problem." And the kids are like, "Okay," and but the kids thinking like, "Oh, I got to show Dr. Brown how to do the problem." And I'm like, "Dr. Brown didn't know how to do the problem, but I'm gonna go tell you I don't know how to do the problem. Thank you for
Right.
helping me." So I'm like, awesome. And so to me, I laugh because I said the teacher's doing their job and the kids are really they are they're interested, engaged in what the teacher's talking about. So for them to be able to articulate that to me says a lot about both of them. And another thing is setting an expectation. Too many times I've seen my current capacity teachers not challenging the kids. So I'll tell the kids, I tell you what, if you show 5 or more points on your benchmark, I get you a snack. The kids love Takis and everything. I said,
Yeah,
I
they
get
do.
you Takis. And then I see the kids, hey, the crazy thing is now the kids emailing you because they got the email address.
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
I made 5 points growth. I said, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. So I go ask the teacher. I said, oh, yeah, okay, they did do it. Well, I got to be a man of my word, get the Takis for the kids. Because again, you don't know if that's the only motivation that they're gonna ever get.
That's right.
So if it takes Takis to show some growth, hey, be the Taki king or queen. I got you. Do what you have to do. So that's mainly the two things: building a relationship, the rapport, also setting the expectations for the kids, and just having a real conversation. I mean, because they know why they're in school, but talk to the kids because at the end of the day they can tell you some stuff that you may not know, and
Yeah.
they do that quite a lot. And say, Dr. Brown, can I talk to you? And I might not be in the mood. I'm like, I don't feel like talk. I said, come on, just come on. But
Yeah.
then also I look at it twofold. They give me a chance to sit down. So they call me in the walkie talkie. I say, I'm with a student. Ain't nothing serious. I'm like, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. So, you know, so you gotta utilize things when you can and put it in your favor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that cheat code. So, aspiring administrator, if you're talking with a student, you need just a couple of minutes to sit down. You just say, "Hey, I'm talking with a student." You get that student to talking. That's your freebie. All right, try. Okay.
Exactly. You better utilize it.
So you talked about your students coming back and how rewarding that is.
Mhm.
Is there another rewarding experience that you had, or even a challenging experience that you had that you think will be helpful for the viewers?
Yeah, I think to your point, the challenging, and it's real challenging because we had a student last week, uh, gun violence. The
Mm,
student, he was shot by a cousin.
mm,
And so, you had kids saying crazy things, this gang saying they did this, they did
mm-hmm.
that when it wasn't even that. But it's challenging because the mom coming up saying this is what's happening. These kids are saying this. But I think one of the most challenging things the other day, the mom FaceTime one of the teachers, and I happened to be beside the teacher, and the student
Mm-hmm.
opened his eyes with the tubes and everything. And that's a blessing.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
challenging because here we are. This is what we dealing with. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're hoping you don't have to go in front of the student body to say you lost a classmate.
Yeah.
Tell the staff we lost a student for something
Mm-hmm.
senseless. And that's when you have to learn to compartmentalize what's important. Yeah, testing this, that, and you put that to the side. We're talking about a
Yeah.
human being right now. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know it's touch and go. We don't know if this kid is gonna make it
Yeah.
or not. And the fact to see his eyes open the other day was a blessing. And his mom just say, "Hey," you like, "Hey, Dr. Brown on the phone, Dr. Brown." And
Yeah.
again, it goes back to like I said, my own child.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's not him, but then it's like, but these are the realities that he's going to face, and
Yeah.
to help him understand that, hey, I don't live like this, or why do those kids live like that? And it goes also back to when you're a classroom instructor, you have to differentiate because all
Yeah.
kids aren't the same. And which I had to do when that student said, "Hey, we didn't learn anything today." So I had to go back
Mm-hmm.
and change my lesson. I had to differentiate. Granted,
Yeah.
then I didn't know what the word meant. I just thought he was
Right.
taking a shot at me because I'm like, "Oh, really? You ain't learned nothing?" But but seriously though, but that's the most challenging thing because when they're within our reach, Monday through
Mm-hmm.
Friday, from beginning to the end of school, we can help kind of monitor.
Right.
But then when they leave us, that's when you kind of you're left in limbo because
Yeah.
that's realities out there waiting for them. We're not with them 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the like I said, that's the opposite side of when they come back and saying, "Hey, we miss you. I'm going to college or graduating
Mm-hmm.
high school." I had kids saying, "I'm gonna send you an invitation." I said, "Okay, dude, that's awesome because it makes you feel good. So you played a
Yeah.
role."
Yeah.
Because I always said, I remember after my first year teaching, it felt so final. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I was glad the kids were going home,
Yeah.
for the summer.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like you in that routine for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, what am I gonna do? You feel like Will at the end of the Fresh Prince episode, standing in the middle of,
Absolutely.
like, okay, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
But then before you know what, a veteran teacher like Miss Battle, Sharon Battle, she
Mm-hmm.
told me, she said, before you know it, you got new kids coming. And it seemed
Mm-hmm.
like just like when she said that, it's like the floodgates open. Like every year, every time you lose one, it seems like it gets faster. The time comes
Yeah.
faster when the next
Yeah.
group comes. So you don't even have time to, if you want to cry, you don't have time to even do that because the kids be
Right.
like, "What's wrong with you? Like, who are you? You got to, you have to try to figure out who the new kids are."
Yep.
But that, like I said, that's the thing. That's another challenging thing which you can't control because again, that's life. The kids are going to move on. That's what you want
Right.
them to do.
Right.
But you get so attached being an educator. You get so attached to the kids and just like, okay, these are not my personal kids. I have to
Yeah.
learn to let them go. But
Yeah.
again, when you have invested so much into them, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to do so. But
Yeah.
if I can make this point, I know one thing, as I was saying with my son, one saying that I've lived by this year is I said I can't invest more into other people's children than I invest in my
Mm-hmm.
own. So
Right.
that's something that definitely want to get into aspiring administrators or any educated teacher,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to have that fine balance.
Yes.
You can't do more for other kids than you do for your own. And then that's when you're gonna have issues. And you have to learn to leave work at work. I know it's hard, but you
Yeah.
have to leave work at work because if you don't, it causes problems.
You are absolutely correct. You made some amazing points. One thing that I want to just make sure that I highlight is that the students are going to move on regardless. And that's what
Regardless.
we do as educators. We can't hold on to those kids. We don't want to retain them. Lord knows we don't want to retain them.
No.
But I also hear your heart in the amount of time that you invest in the students, but also ensuring that you invest more in your family than in the students. Because at the end of the year, those students gonna move on, but your family's still gonna be there. So thank
Right.
you very much for sharing that. That's a great point. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit because not only are you just amazing, student at Fayetteville State, radio station worker, teacher, administrator, but you also are an entrepreneur. You have your own nonprofit that you have been running for years now. Talk to us about what inspired you to start Project Hope.
Well, what inspired me to start Project Hope, helping our young people excel, was again in when I was at Martin Middle, and it was right when I was making that transition from teacher to administrator. I kept seeing the young black males getting in trouble. I was like, God, they keep parading back and forth to the office. And I said something has to change. So that's why I always say the Lord brought this to me. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I need to do something. So that's when I went with the tenets of mentoring, financial literacy, um,
Mm-hmm.
exposing the kids to having these positive field trips. We're going to colleges. I want you to go to colleges. I want you to go to
Mm-hmm.
various things to see that there's life outside of Tarboro or Princeville.
Yes.
So that's kind of what spearheaded me to do so. And like you said, it's been a great time doing Project Hope. And I even know now I need to reinvent it now to make sure that it is maintaining its form of what how society is now. And,
Mm-hmm.
and and the good thing with that, I branched out into another state in Alabama, Huntsville, Tuscaloosa.
Mm-hmm.
I have Project Hope, and a good friend of mine, they're running it there, so it's going well. But I said I need to. That's when I stated I need to reinvent it and get it going here, like I
Mm-hmm.
fully wanted to again. Because we've been
Yeah.
doing some things. We have like the summer component. We had the,
Mm-hmm.
the, the leadership academy, which I named after my grandparents, the
Okay.
Corrine and Jesse Brown leadership academy, working with those kids. We do
Mm-hmm.
they went to a ropes course, learning to work together, have various speakers come and speak with them, and then they're doing the academic piece. So I wanted to continue to push that. And then
Mm-hmm.
we have our yearly drives where we collect food for Christmas, Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
and we adopt a family at my school, and we partner with our Ravens Honor Club, because
Okay.
again, I want them to see that it's not about you receiving, but you giving back. And
Absolutely.
so there's been a great partnership for the last, well, really 3 years that we've been doing that. So there's been
Okay.
a great partnership with Ravens Honors Club, because they started during COVID, because
Oh,
they're like,
okay.
okay, we need to do something. I said, yeah, we
Yeah.
need to do something. And I was like, awesome. So let's, do that. And, teachers donate, kids donate. And it's a great way to bring the entire school community together.
Yeah. So, how do you see your role as a nonprofit administrative director and your role as an educational leader intersect?
To be honest, what I do, I just take what I'm learning as administrator and then I apply it to Project Hope. So whatever is going to be cutting edge is in education, I'm making sure
Mm-hmm.
Project Hope is on the cutting edge of it as well. So like you say, I can wear two. I'm wearing both hats. So I'm like, oh, I'm learning this here. I'm like, oh yeah, let me bring this over to Project Hope. And again, like I said, so we can be parallel with what the school system is doing. Granted, we're kind of different in the sense of we're not as bound by so many things,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want to I try to continue to educate parents on the legalities of things with, IEPs. So
Yeah.
I want to IEPs, 504s, just school law, period. Because I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people, unfortunately, parents don't know school law until it's time for school law. They got to learn school law. When you're
Right.
sitting in the
Right.
long term period, it's too late then. But if you
Yeah.
know the policy, encouraging parents to go to board meetings, go to
Mm-hmm.
these committee meetings, so you can
Mm-hmm.
understand and be well versed. That helps you as to being a well-rounded parent. And what it also does is it makes the other people like, oh, they're really involved in the child. Yeah,
Uh,
they are. Even you can't go send somebody because you need a representation. Your child needs a
right.
representation, and that's another
Yeah.
avenue that Project Hope does.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I knew that you did a lot of things with students, but I had no idea about the branch in Alabama. That's awesome. Or the advocacy. And so you just dropped some major gems for educators who are watching that may be thinking about starting their own business and how do they get started. You just gave them the cheat code again, which is start with what you know and build upon that.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you know it's a
Right.
problem because all businesses are created to solve problems. So if you're in a school right now and you see a problem, that's your business opportunity, and you may be fortunate, like Dr. Brown, to have yours intersect where you have a two for one. You still can keep that separation because you got to have a separation between your contracted obligations and your business obligations. But ultimately, you're making impact every day, like intentionally and unintentionally, because I would have never thought
Exactly.
school law for parents. Like that's a whole nother business right there. But you're already incorporating that because you get to see firsthand what's happening and the miscommunications, misunderstandings that happen when parents don't know school law. That's amazing.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, thank you for that. So you can talk about it from a Project Hope lens, from a teacher lens,
Mm-hmm.
school administrator lens, whichever you choose. How about share a memorable success story or accomplishment that Like you reflect on a lot. It has so much meaning for you, throughout your career.
Well, I would say I went back just a few weeks ago. I found an article from Project
Mhm.
Hope when we were not infancy stages, where we collected books for the kids in South Africa. And
Oh.
I was letting people know. I always tell people I'm all about being a philanthropist, giving
Mhm.
back, because
Yeah,
that's to me that's how you receive your blessings, when you give back. It's not
for
you can give
sure.
all the money in the world, but if you don't allocate or giving in its right sense, there's no point having the money. So granted, I don't have all the money. As you talk about retirement, I don't have all the money that I need yet. I should have, but my thing is I'm using the blessings that the Lord has bestowed upon me. So
Yeah,
my thing is when he blessed me with something, I want to bless other people with it. So my
yeah,
thing is being that teacher, being that leader, building leader at that time with Project Hope at Martin Middle. I said, hey, let's collect books and give to the kids in South Africa. And just to collect 1,500 books at that time, when those kids
wow,
didn't even know the kids, that
yeah,
was that was awesome. Um, and then just continuing on, we collected items a few years ago for those in the Bahamas when the
mhm,
hurricane hit, and
mhm,
like I said, just doing locally, do what we do. So that's a great feat. But then even going beyond that, an even greater feat is, as you said in the bio, working at a turnaround school at Rocky Mountain Middle School,
mhm.
being there six. This is the 6th year, but 2 years ago we exceeded growth.
Wow,
And then we
yeah,
also met growth. So we got out the low performance status. The banner. We showing that banner because
right,
let's just be honest, they didn't expect us to do that.
yeah,
So when you keep God first and you follow
mhm,
Him and you stay prayed up, you work together through the tough times that we had to endure.
yeah,
The end result is worth it. And
absolutely,
like I said, now your expectation is here. No need to
mhm,
go back down. No, you
right,
can't live down here anymore. You have to go to where you have grown to. And that is, like I said, is one of the most awesome things that we have done. And now, uh, I guess I'll speak on, with the demerger in
mhm,
Edgecombe and Nash counties, but public schools, so they're
yeah,
getting to school, and we are losing some, but we're becoming now a even larger middle school.
okay,
So with that, it's like, okay, so now we becoming even more diverse.
yeah,
So it's like, of course, skepticism, like, I don't know, because I know I've
mhm,
heard about the school. Everybody hears about everything until they actually come in the building.
right,
And I'm just like, your perception. I tell people all the time, a perception is harder to disprove than a lie. But my thing is, when you
mhm,
grace and come through those doors, Rocky Mountain Middle School is like any other school. Kids come and feel safe. Parents
mhm,
can talk to admin.
mhm,
You come in, we're not gonna say we're gonna stop everything that we're doing,
yeah,
but what we will do is we'll make time to speak with you, because first we're doing the order of business, making sure kids are learning and are safe
uh-huh,
and teachers are teaching and they are supported. Then we can get to you. Because as I had to tell a parent not too long ago, you can't go to the doctor's office and just think you're gonna just walk in and get an appointment. You have to
that's
wait,
it,
but we're gonna
that's
be
right,
professional and timely to get to you. And so, with this new challenge is on the horizon, that too should pass, and we'll be okay. And as I said, we just continue to keep encouraging parents. If you are kind of skeptical or weary, hey, you come on in. You see
yeah,
kids being kids. Will they be perfect like 10 men? No, you may hear some coarse languages like, did they curse? I think everybody in the world curse, but we check that. So kids,
right,
kids,
right,
So to my thing is that's the worst thing that you can pick out if you visit the school. Then hey, I
mhm,
think we're doing okay. But like I said, our goal is to take it a step further. Like I said, we're here with our
mhm,
expectations, and we want to take it
mhm,
even higher. And so, like I said, I having that background of coming from a successful school from the CB
mhm,
Martin Middle, the South
mhm,
Edgecombs, the West Edgecombs, when they were, above the grade level. We were good. We were exceeding growth. And then you
Right.
having to go to other school, you're like, oh wow, I have some work I have to do because I have to get this
Yeah.
school to this level. So that's why you keep communicating to the staff like I've been on both sides where you're at the top of the food chain and I've been
Mm-hmm.
at the bottom. I don't like the bottom. So we have
Yeah.
to put the work in, to get to the top. And I think the sad part is sometimes some people are in it so long they
Mm-hmm.
become and start believing that they can't get to the top. And then when
Mm.
you grab some success you're not used to it, you go back to what you're comfortable being.
That's right.
And so that's now what we're I'm not saying battling, but we're rectifying.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be political with that. We're rectifying that right
Yeah.
now.
That's
Since
a
it's the
great
political
word.
season, we're rectifying.
That's
So
a great word to describe it. I love the quote that perception is harder to prove than a lie, because there isn't a greater statement than that has been said when people believe that your school is a certain way. What I love that you
mhm,
shared with the tribe is that you can have success in one place and choose to be complacent, or you can decide that good is not good enough and decide that you're going to make a decision to do the work to make the place better. So whether you go into a place that's already established or a place that needs to be
mhm,
adjusted a little bit, if you're willing to put in the work, you can make an impact, and that's at any level: teacher, curriculum specialist, assistant principal, principal, wherever you are in the school. If you come in and you're willing to build a relationship and do the work, you can make the place better. That's what I gleaned out of all that. I don't know what they heard, but I got all of that out of that little piece right there. So that is
right.
good. That is great. So you've already dropped, several cheat codes, throughout the conversation. But for the aspiring administrators that are watching, like, what advice would you give to them as they get ready to either enroll in their program, or they're finished their program and they're ready to go to internship, or if they're going to be applying because it is hiring season if you're trying to get in for July 1? Like, what would you tell
I would say just you, as I always tell people, any teacher, you are the principal in your own classroom.
them?
So
Mm-hmm.
all you set your expectations. You have your mission and your vision in your
Mm-hmm.
classroom. Now, as becoming a building administrator, building leader, just expand it. But the key thing is make sure everybody understands what your mission and vision is. The younger
Oh,
me in here, oh, it was
mm-hmm.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got mad because the people didn't get it. That's because I wasn't communicating it fully. So I had to learn. I'm like, okay, they don't live in here. I have
Right.
to speak it, but also I have to live it and walk it so they can
Yeah.
see it. And so that's the thing. That's the main thing I would tell any aspiring administrator, somebody who's saying, "Hey, I'm right there." You can become that principal you want to be just by running your classroom. Because only it's just everything just enhances. It becomes larger when you step out of that classroom. You're not just um you just say I'm not just tied to this classroom anymore. You have the
Mm-hmm.
whole building, but keep the
Yeah.
mindset. If your expectation, if you boom, 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 it needs to run smoothly. I'm communicating. I'm structured. I have quality. I have make sure that the kids are safe. I'm safe. I'm making sure that I can communicate what it is I need for them to do and what will happen if not. Or this is where our game. Let's have this data conversation. The small things that you do, like I said, you set yourself up to how you're going to be an administrator based off of what
Mm-hmm.
you do in your classroom. It doesn't just magically happen once you get into that role. No, you're on the training ground now in your classroom,
Yeah.
because if you can run
Yeah.
your classroom efficiently, you can run a building. But if you're terrible in your classroom, you think, well, once I get a walkie-talkie and I can write some people up, you're gonna automatically turn to a great administrator. Then you're fooling yourself. And you'll be out before you realize it. So
Yeah.
the thing is, you don't forget those small things that you did to have a successful classroom, because, like I said, it'll just matriculate into the same thing running a building. And like you were saying, those awards. Well, my thing is, I was a 3-time teacher of the year. I took pride in that.
Mhm.
So I don't like to flaunt or boast or brag about what I do, but when the opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
know what I do. So
Yeah. Come
then,
on.
and as I tell some of my teachers, I can show you my EVIs. It's a whole lot of blue and green on the right side, not on the left
Uh huh.
side. Because you show it
Uh
on the
huh.
left side, it means you should have some deficiencies you need to work on. And they look
Yeah.
at me like, ooh, I say, because I speak it, I walk it, because I've done it.
Mhm.
But it took time. I showed you where I failed, but I
Yeah.
showed you how now I've grown from that. I grew from that, but I'm
Mhm.
still always, even as a building administrator, I'm still learning. I'm still researching
Yeah.
because chat AGP ATP that
Yeah.
came now.
Yeah.
That wasn't then in 2001.
That's
So
right.
you have to keep growing. You have to keep growing. And if you don't, you won't make it. And I think a lot of people, classroom teachers that I see, and even some administrators that I know, they're still hanging on to the past of, my principal, he did this, or the teacher that work did. But
Mhm.
now take from what was successful, what they did, add to who you are, but you have to be, innovative. Do what you need to do to keep the kids engaged, keep your staff
Mhm.
engaged. But it goes back to the simple things. I don't care how much technology is out.
Yeah.
You build the rapport with your students, with your staff, with your parents, that'll
Mhm.
get you further than any technology.
Wow.
Because they're like,
That's
you know what? I'll walk through fire for that person. Just
yeah.
I'll because of the fact they took the time to listen. And like I said, it's
Mhm.
the small things. I don't care how much AI we have. Those
Yeah.
small things cannot be replicated by technology.
Yep.
So
You are absolutely right. Best takeaway, and I wish that I have really embraced this when I was a hungry, aspiring administrator, is be the principal of your classroom. That's deep. If you can run that well, you can be an effective administrator. That is deep. And I will share that when Dr. Brown was my boss back in the day, one of the things I'll never forget that you did was on Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, you brought candy for every employee in the building. And I thought, wow, that was so nice. I already knew you because we went to school together, but we had not worked together yet at that point. We would just see each other at games back when we were both coaching. And to know that you cared enough about the teachers in the building that you would think about Mother's Day. Like Valentine's Day, people really do that. But Mother's Day, first of all, you knew enough about us to know that we were mothers. Then you took the time to spend your own money to go get us a gift to make us feel important when you didn't have to do that. And that goes back to the relationship piece that you talked about and how important that is for you to be an effective educator and especially effective leader. So I know I told you thank you way back in that I think that was around 2008, 2009 ish in that time frame. But thank you for that because I still do little small things like that today for my staff because I remember you doing that for us so many years ago. So thank you for that.
oh, you're welcome. Look, I'm just gonna laugh, give you a good laugh. Being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi kind of helped with it because going to the cabins, and kind of giving the ladies roses, this, that, and the third, so they kind of helped with that too. So got to get a shameless plug to the frat, but no, but like you said, it's just those simple things, and just like we had the bus appreciation week, I had
Hmm.
one of the bus monitors. She said, "Oh, I just wanted to tell you, Dr. Brown, what you did for us was the best that we had from out of all the schools that we served." And I'm
Wow.
thinking like, because I'm terrible, I don't wrap gifts. I'm just gonna give you the gift. No need
Right.
to, no need to rip paper and all this stuff. I'm just gonna give it to you, but it's from the
Yeah.
heart. And
Right.
and like you said, knowing your drivers, knowing that they're
Hmm.
on that road for a long period of time, little snack bags,
Yeah.
giving them breakfast or going to get the little cakes and things, personalized small cakes
Hmm.
from the bunt cakes and things. They love it.
Yeah.
They love it. And then so when they say the other schools didn't get it, I'm like, I said, but they mean it they did the best they could do. But I turned
Hmm.
my head, I said, yeah, that's right. I'm making a difference. That's why I'm Dr. Brown. That's when that little bit come out, that little arrogant come out. That's why I'm Dr. Brown. Yeah. But no, but see, but you say it's just doing that, but that lasting memory, because they remember that, because then you may need them to go pick up a kid or something. It's like,
Absolutely.
I got you, Dr. Brown. I got you. Because I
Yeah.
can't give you the money that I know they deserve,
Right.
but just those little small things, token of appreciation, all day long.
Yeah, makes a huge difference. We do it for the
Mm-hmm.
student. We don't even think about it, like you talked about with the talkies. But sometimes when we transition over to administration, we don't think the same way. So I appreciate the fact that you have always kept that mentality of the small things count for employees. That's very important. So, last question for this part is, as we look ahead, and you talked a little bit about AI and ChatGPT, what do you believe are the future challenges and opportunities in the field of education, and how can we as educators prepare for these?
I would say the challenge is you have to stay innovative, because technology is not going anywhere.
Right.
Um, as I tell people all the time, if you watch Terminator Salvation, when the war, the rage against the machine, the wars against the machine, that's
Uh-huh.
what we are,
Yeah.
metaphorically, but in reality, that's what we are.
Uh-huh.
So what are you doing to prepare yourself for this? That's the main thing. It's like I said, if you're trying to hold on to the old way and still
Mhm.
combat this new way, you're going to eventually lose.
Yeah.
So my biggest fear though is that the rural schools or low performing schools, they won't have teachers. They will have teachers, but they won't be the physical teachers. It will be
Wow.
smooth AI teaching these
Wow.
kids, further getting them behind, and you just have someone monitoring, making sure they're paying attention to AI
Mm-hmm.
in the classroom. And we know most people like to be on their phones and stuff, not paying attention to the
Right.
kids, or pushing the kids to do the work, and the kids become bored, and the
Yeah.
kids just become, disruptive. And so that's my biggest fear. What we're heading to. It's still going to continue to be the have and the have not.
Wow. That's deep. And some of that is already in existence. And it's been going on for years when we
Yep.
started doing online courses, particularly for foreign languages. That was
Yep.
big during COVID. Of
Yep.
course, that became the norm. So you made a very valid point. That is scary. Who's going to teach the students? And
Yep.
especially for those who are, younger and are still having kids, what do they have to look forward to when they send their kids to school? Because the teacher is the one thing the kids are always talking about. Either they love the teacher, they like the teacher, or they don't. They don't
Right.
really talk too much about the other kids or the decorations on the wall, but it's their relationship with that teacher and who's going to be there for the students who need them the most. Wow, that is definitely a concern. So Dr. Brown has just given yet another problem. If somebody's thinking about what can they do as an entrepreneur, what can they do for their dissertation if you're in school, who's
Mm-hmm.
going to teach the children? Somebody has to be there to teach the students. That's a great point. Dr. Brown, you have given us some amazing information tonight. So before we close, I always like to do this little game called This or That with my friends, just because I want them to see the fun person that I know. So just don't ask a few questions, nothing embarrassing, nothing like that, because I know you work
Okay.
in public schools. We don't want to get you in no trouble. Okay, that's my HR hat I have on. All right.
I got you.
So this is like rapid fire. So I'm gonna ask the question, and then you just kind of tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So who was your favorite celebrity crush when you were a child?
Um, mm, I'm gonna say Nia Long. She's still my crush too. She grown. So hey,
Okay. What is your secret talent?
what's my what? What's my
Your
what now?
secret, your secret talent.
My secret talent would be I can sing a little bit. I can sing just a little bit.
But that is definitely a secret because I have never known that.
Yeah.
What kind of
Now,
band?
yeah, I play saxophone. Now I can play all saxes.
Okay.
Taught myself how to play the piano and can play the drums a little.
Okay.
So yeah, so being musically inclined might be my little secret talent. A lot of people don't know. Um, and
Okay. That's amazing.
I used to write music because being in church, you'll know when they find out you can play an instrument, they throw you in the front. And, yeah, get out there and play. Get out there and play. And so I remember having to take that back. I had that Methodist hymnal, so I had to
Hmm.
transpose the music. I'm in B flat, and I'm having to go from here and transpose it and make it make sense. So there wasn't nothing but the Lord, because I was just writing, making them people think I was doing a whole lot of something, but that's what. Hey, so that I would say, being musically inclined is a hidden talent or a secret
Okay.
talent.
All right. What about, is there a person that you would trade places with for a day?
Yeah, I think for a day I
Mhm.
would trade places with probably Nick Cannon.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
mine is the kids. Now he can keep all the kids and stuff, man. I'm speaking more so from a business standpoint. Mine is the
Yeah.
kids. I'm
Yeah.
around enough kids, but so
I get that. Yeah, he
yeah,
does look like he has a lot of fun with the things
yeah,
that he does. Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
All right. How about your guilty pleasure?
It would be Diet Dr Pepper. I don't know why. I tend to not drink a lot of sodas and stuff anymore since I started my health journey back in
Uh-huh.
2020. But
Yeah.
if I do have a weakness for it, I got to get a Diet Dr Pepper. I might as well get a regular Dr Pepper. It's the same thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, but I'm giving the answer. But yeah, I say a Diet Dr Pepper or Dr Pepper would be my guilty pleasure.
Okay. How about what never fails to make you laugh?
Oh man, watching any Martin episode, especially the one when they on Chilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's the best
um,
episode.
I was let's see, the Jeffersons. Anything George Jefferson say is hilarious to me. And they would what they say they would try to cancel him in today's society,
Oh
but
yeah,
it was
absolutely.
funny, but it made sense, and it made sense what he was saying.
Yeah.
So that it's a whole lot of other shows too, but yeah, definitely the Martin though.
Okay, I get that. I love that one, and my other favorite one is when they stole his CD player and he
Oh
was
man, yeah, with the dog.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking about that makes me laugh. As a matter of fact, when we had Halloween on a work day and we had a meeting at work and I wore a black turtleneck and some black pants. And so I made a joke and I told him I was being Martin that day on that episode and everybody just fell out like they had
Oh
seen it because
man.
they understood how hilarious that episode was. So every time I wear a black top and some black pants, I always get tickled thinking about him with that dog.
Gotcha.
All right. How about what is the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Standing up for what's right in education.
Mm,
Um and not to go into too much detail, but
mhm.
like I said, stand up for what's right. It was uncomfortable, but I
Yeah,
said I wanted to fight for, advocate, and use that word, advocate for my students, community. And so I decided to, as they say, in education, you're gonna find something to die on a sword, and that's when I
yeah,
said, no, it's not right. Now, did it end up costing me my job? Yeah, but
hmm,
at the end of the day, I feel good about it. And now I look at where I am now, and
hmm,
because of the fact having my feet in solid ground, knowing I'm doing it for the right reason and not
hmm,
because I'm trying to boast and brag and think I'm some person bigger than the program, and I'm not. But my
yeah,
thing is, you can't mistreat kids and people.
right.
I'm trying to do the work of the Lord, so but I understand what I was doing, and like I said, I look where I am now. I'm better now than I was then. So,
That's amazing. Well, we're going to end right there again, Dr. Brown. Thank you so much for being my guest tonight on Saavy, Shae, and Friends. I know that everybody who watches this is going to learn something and glean something from it. If you all are interested in knowing more about Project Hope, Dr. Brown is on LinkedIn and on Instagram. And so I will drop that down in the comments so you can see him and follow him as he's doing all this amazing work, both locally and nationally, as he's presenting at all these conferences. So
Oh
at
yeah.
the end,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. So look for to get some new followers once everybody is able to see this in its totality and glean all these gems that you had dropped for us all the way from Tarboro/Rocky Mountain, North Carolina.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right, friends, as we end the broadcast, I like to tell you what I tell you at the end of every show. I want you to remember that there is a friend that's sticking closer than a brother, and his name is Jesus. If you get to know him for yourself, I promise you, he will change your life. Until next time, thank you for joining us for Saavy, Shae, and Friends.
All right. Have a good one.